Hello, welcome to this week's edition of the Cuffs program, and I'm your host, Aaron Stevens. It's been a couple months since we last did a program, and there are reasons for that. I had a little bit of physical problem and kept me away from work and everything else for a bit of time, but physically I'm well and able and back, and I'm excited about getting back to informing the public of what's happening in Richmond and Wayne County, some of the upcoming events, as well as some of the important matters that you need to be aware of. And that's why I've got a guest today that is going to give you some information that is going to be very, very helpful to you. Hopefully it's not going to be something that we're going to have to contend with, but it's always good to know in those cases. And I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet, but first of all, I know that you're anxiously waiting to see the individuals that we have outstanding warrants for. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, when we present these faces or these names, we certainly hope that you will assist us in locating them by calling the Richmond Police Department's non-emergency line of 983-7247 or the Wayne County Sheriff's Department's non-emergency line of 973-9397. Again, as of today's date, while we are taping these, all the warrants that we have been actively sought out, and we find that they are still currently active. So, in the time that it takes to air this and you see it, if you're one of the individuals on there and you've turned yourself in or the matter's been rectified, please do not hesitate to call me so I can contact WCTV and have it removed. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and profile and present the individuals that we have the outstanding warrants for. The first person to be presented is a Mr. Joshua R. Arpaia. Mr. Arpaia or Arpaia is a 32-year-old white male, 5'8", 150 pounds, with brown and hazel eyes. He's wanted for the warrant charge for failure to appear for burglary and dealing marijuana. Darren D. Barrett. Darren Barrett is a 38-year-old white male, 6'2", 185 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. The warrant for Mr. Barrett is for failure to appear for pretrial for the charge of criminal conversion. Jeremy M. Brown. Jeremy Brown is a 34-year-old white male, 6 feet, 175 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. The warrant for Mr. Brown is for failure to appear for pretrial for the charge of invasion of privacy. Jason W. Ingram. Jason Ingram is a 27-year-old white male, 6 feet, 210 pounds. The warrant for Mr. Ingram is for failure to appear for plea and sentencing for the charge of theft. Next we have Mr. Jason L. Jones. Jason Jones is a 38-year-old white male, 6'1", 220 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. Mr. Jones is wanted for two separate warrant counts for failure to appear for contempt of court. And last we have Mr. Jonathan K. Mcmurray. Jonathan McMurray is a 25-year-old white male, 5'5", 130 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. The warrant for Mr. McMurray is for possession of methamphetamines, possession of paraphernalia, and no operator's license ever. And again, ladies and gentlemen, please give us a call at 983-7247 or 973-9397 to assist us in locating these individuals. Not long ago, all of our streets, all of our yards, everything around here was inundated by white stuff called snow. I mean, it was up to your knees, up to your waist in some areas, and our mobility was limited because we just couldn't get around. It was all that. But as we look out today, we're seeing the greenery. What's going to become green because it's still brown out there, but the snow seems to be melted away. We're in the middle part of March, and March is that month where we spend a lot of time getting prepared for what is yet to come. Not necessarily the end of the snow, but the oncoming days of spring. And with spring comes the warmer weather. With that warmer weather comes the mixture of cold weather and warm weather, and we have things like tornadoes and other weather incidents that we need to be aware of. And our guest today is someone who's been on the show before, but it's been several years. But he's Fred Griffin, who's the director of the Wayne County Emergency Management Agency. And it's good to have Fred with us today because I know that on the day that this actually airs, we're going to have a tornado warning drill.
We're going to have a tornado drill,
and
on March 17th.
Let's talk about it, Fred. First of all, let's give the public a little bit of background on how long you've been in your position and the purpose of the EMA.
I've been director of Wayne County EMA for about 20 years. Our agency works to make sure Wayne County is prepared for disasters and emergencies. That's working with the public as well as working with the Richmond Police Department and the other law enforcement and fire agencies throughout the county. EMS, the hospitals, we're pulling all of that together so we have a cohesive plan when disasters occur.
And that's very important, because a lot of people will think, when I talk about the tornado drill, a lot of people think that the only thing that you deal with is weather related, but that's not the case.
We deal with a lot of various things, everything from hazardous materials releases to weather. Of course, weather is one of our significant challenges here, but we're also concerned about earthquakes. We're also concerned about terrorism. Anything that can cause harm to Wayne County is on our plate.
Okay. After 9/11 and the creation of Homeland Security and all, what has been the role or the relationship with Homeland Security to your agency since then?
We work extensively in the Homeland Security arena. Actually, Homeland Security is a part of what we've been doing ever since I became involved with the agency. It just now has a name and a lot more funding behind it. So we Homeland Security issues, the terrorism planning and preparedness, a lot of the training issues we have been dealing with before, but now we have some more structure to those programs.
Busiest time of the year for you personally as director is when?
I don't think anymore it's all busy. It's kind of like tornado season. We used to say tornado season was March through June, and now it seems like tornado season is January through December.
Ask people in Georgia in
exactly,
December. Right.
Exactly. So we need to be prepared for emergencies, for any type of emergencies at any time. And we need the public to be prepared as well, because if the public is better prepared and they have a plan at home and they have the emergency supplies they need at home, we're all of us in a whole lot better shape.
You know, that's a very good point about the emergency supplies. We are now on March the 15th, and I know in 2 days the EMA is going to hold a mock tornado drill with the siren, and the public needs to know about that. But one thing I've heard throughout my lifetime, especially during this time of the year, is to have those emergency preparations made in the basement or wherever else, so that if some disaster did strike, at least, and you had to take a shelter someplace, at least you were in a place that had the necessities of what you needed to survive for a period of time.
At least 3 days, based on some things we saw with Hurricane Katrina, that has been lengthened now. We recommend a week's worth if you possibly can, but at least 3 days. Be prepared to be on your own for a while, and that's with some water, some non-perishable food, some things you might need for pets or babies if you have small children, games for the kids, flashlights, batteries, all those standard kinds of things that go in an emergency preparedness kit. And what we find is most people have those items already around the home. They're just they're not collected in one spot. So if we can collect those in one area, we recommend a suitcase or even a bucket. Keep those in your shelter area. For coming into tornado season, it's important to know where the tornado safe areas are in your home, as well as where you work and where you may frequent. So that could include schools or shopping locations.
Home safety, when it comes to that, you know, we're in the unique situation of our surroundings and all. But one of the things I've found is that having lived through one tornado in my life, and I can give you the date and where I was and everything, one of the things, though, it can happen suddenly.
Yes.
And with unexpected delivery, to be able to get to where you're going, that shelter, it doesn't afford you the time to say, okay, go get a flashlight, go get a radio, go get some extra batteries so we can stay in tune and whatever else, go get the water and everything. How serious should people take that? I mean, historically, people have said in this area, well, you know, we'll never get hit by a tornado because of the topography around us. We'll never get hit by one. But, I mean, it can happen anywhere at any time.
At any time. We equate a tornado to a 2,000-pound gorilla. What do you say to a 2,000-pound gorilla to make it do what you want it to do? Very little.
Very little.
The 2,000-pound gorilla is going to do exactly what it wants to do. And Wayne County has been hit. Richmond has been hit by tornadoes in the past. One of the reasons that the Wayne County Fairgrounds is now on Salisbury Road instead of at Centerville is because it was hit by a tornado and destroyed the place. So Wayne County, we do have a problem with tornadoes here. Again, it's something that we don't want people to be scared of. We need them to be prepared. Prepared is better than scared. When it comes to lead time for a tornado warning, the National Weather Service has done some great things in the past few years, but we still average about 3 minutes of advanced warning from the time the tornado is detected on radar or sighted by a spotter to the time the tornado may actually hit a given area. That 3 minutes is pretty short. So you've got to have a plan in mind, know where you're going to go to seek the safest area wherever you are, and know what to do when you've got that 3 minutes ticking down. And we have this great opportunity. This whole week is Severe Weather Preparedness Week.
Yes.
And we're putting out a lot of information. There's been some information we put out last week for the radio stations and the newspapers. We're hoping people will go to those sites, websites for the National Weather Service or the Indiana Department of Homeland Security, or even our own website for the county, because we have some information there that they can use to help them get ready, to help them maximize that 3 minutes.
It's not a lot of time.
It's not.
I mean, it makes a big difference between life and death, or at least critical injury. We were talking about the home. I was in my basement the other day, and I've got 4 rooms down in my basement, but there's one little cubbyhole room that I have set aside. There's nothing in there except necessities in case something were to happen. Now, for the family that may not know, or the individual that may not know, if it's a single dwelling household, explain what would be the best location to go to, the best source of shelter if a disaster were to hit.
For a tornado, the basement is always the best location. If you can get to a basement, if you have a basement, that offers the maximum protection. A lot of places don't have a basement. My home on Virginia Avenue did not have a basement. It was built on a slab. So for shelter area at that particular location, we want to put as many walls between us and the tornado as we can. So that usually, for our situation, that was the central hallway.
All right.
Away from glass, away from outside walls. A bathroom usually affords great protection because it's usually on the inside of the structure. You got a lot of heavy framing around it. So look for those areas, and the concept again is put as many walls between you and the tornado as you can. If you don't have a basement, then look at the walls and stay away from the outside walls. Stay away from windows, stay away from glass.
I understand, I hear all the time, if you don't have one of those, and you're talking about the bathroom, if you don't have any other shelter and you have to take shelter in the bathroom, they say get in the bathtub.
Getting in the bathtub isn't a bad idea. How many people can you fit in your bathtub?
That's true.
That's true. And then still have some protection, some heavy blankets. I've even heard of people trying to get mattresses into their bathroom. And I'm not sure that's going to be a great idea because, again, we're talking about 3 minutes. But if you have some items in the bathroom that you can quickly cover up with, again, to protect you from flying debris like glass or shards of 2x4s or whatever might be flying around. The bathtub does offer some protection.
All right. Now, for those people who live in multi-dwelling locations, apartment buildings or so, how should they protect themselves inside that structure?
Again, think of the concept of putting as many walls between you and the tornado as possible. Certainly try to get off of upper stories. Go to the lowest possible level you can. Even some of the apartments do have basement areas, so if you do have access to that, you're still safer in the basement. But again, put as many walls between you and the tornado as possible.
Fred, there will be a lot of people watching this, but I would have that concern, follow up on the question about apartments or multi-dwelling locations. Does your agency, specifically in Wayne County, go out to places that have public housing locations and do any workshops or programming with them to let the public know and the residents know exactly what they should do or what they should be aware of and how to protect themselves in case an emergency occurs?
We sure do, and we'd be more than happy to go out. We've done, and some of the folks that work with us have done some of that programming, especially targeted towards the elderly folks.
Right.
So we've done a lot of that. We will go out and speak, do programs with any group. All we got to do is give us a call. Give the office a call at 973-9399, and we'll get something set up.
Well, that's good, because you were talking about the elderly, and the first thing that comes to my mind, interfaith apartments,
and we've worked extensively with interfaith over the years.
Interfaith and our nursing homes, assisted living locations too. some of those places that, I seem to be pretty mobile still.
And that's good.
But, yeah, I think so. But anyway, but the people who are handicapped and the special needs individuals, a great concern, because again, if somebody who's able-bodied and there's only a 3-minute time before it may strike, somebody who is impaired, that's a lifetime to them.
Right.
So,
and with the nursing homes, we typically do programs with their staff, and that gives them an opportunity also to review their plans. So they've all got plans and procedures in place. They all have the weather radios, which is another important preparedness item that people need to have access to. We think it's very important, and they're relatively inexpensive. They make great Christmas gifts or birthday gifts, and they're available almost any place that handles electronics. So make sure that everyone has a weather radio. You can set that up to, you don't have to be bothered by stuff going on in Henry County. If you don't care about what's going on in Henry County, you can just get warnings and emergency information specifically for Wayne County.
they're not that expensive either. I know that I purchased one a couple of years ago because I do a lot of camping. But then I got another one last year for Christmas as well, among some things, and battery operated. And then you can get the ones that have the crank on them that is a flashlight, as well as the radio stations as well.
You can get commercial radio as well as a weather radio plus a flashlight, and I saw one recently that didn't have a cell phone charger in it. So
yes,
you can spend as much money as you want to spend on them, but usually less than $60 you can get a very, very capable desktop model. They're also available with belt clips, like similar to your portable radios, that you can carry the National Weather Service around wherever you go.
People, do they really take it seriously?
We would, we wonder when we're setting off.
I know that's a rhetorical question.
When we're setting off the tornado sirens, we're wondering if we're just sending people out with their video recorders to get a good view of the tornado. We want people to take it serious, because even a thunderstorm, if we're under a severe thunderstorm warning, in fact, if we look back through our history, most of the tornadoes that we have actually had cited, reported, have occurred when there is a severe thunderstorm warning, not necessarily a tornado warning. So any severe thunderstorm is capable of producing a tornado. Usually they're small, they don't do a whole lot of damage, but they can. And the tornadoes that we typically have around here are capable of doing some significant damage, but don't often kill. But they can kill, they can be extremely deadly. And for a matter of a few minutes worth of planning, some talking with your family about safe places to go, and taking a few minutes to put together an emergency supply kit, there's absolutely no reason for anybody to die as a result of severe weather in Wayne County.
I understand. You're talking about the severe thunderstorm warning. A lot of people, and myself included, sometimes we get confused about what warning, severe thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorm watch, tornado warning. Explain those.
And it can be confusing, but again, we're in that time frame right now in March where we want to make sure everybody's clear. So if we're under a watch, and that means exactly what the term says. Just be watchful, be aware, put the senses on heightened awareness.
Okay.
Make sure that radio is tuned to a local station or wherever you want to receive your severe weather information from. Monitor the skies if you're outdoors, because that means that there's a greater likelihood of severe weather occurring. In fact, it may even be hours before they ever issue a watch. The National Weather Service will give a hazardous weather outlook and say severe weather is possible today. Maybe this afternoon. They're getting so they'll even give us some time frames on when the peak activity is likely to occur. So that may come out hours or even days before the severe weather actually hits. When the watch is actually issued, it will usually be for 6 hours or more and cover a very large swath of territory, potentially several states. And that just is meaning that severe weather is possible. Keep an eye on the weather. When a warning is issued, that means that severe weather has actually been reported or cited in the immediate area. and it is threatening and people need to take cover. That comes back to that 3 minutes that we talked about. Those are typically issued for a part, or if not for the county itself, or a part of the county, and will typically cover a period of time ranging from a half hour to 45 minutes. Some of them may be a little longer. But the warning means that threatening weather is actually in the vicinity, and you need to implement those protective plans, take cover, still keep informed. That's why we recommend having a radio or even a weather radio as part of your emergency supply, so you can stay informed about what is going on.
Okay, and then we get to the tornadoes.
To the tornadoes, it's the same thing. A tornado watch. Tornadoes are possible. There's a greater likelihood, if severe weather is going to occur, that tornadoes will occur as part of the storm. And then if a tornado warning is issued, then there is a tornado in the immediate vicinity, and certainly take cover. That's why we sound the sirens. Actually, all the siren means is you need to be informed about what's going on. So turn on a radio, go to your information source, but take cover. Get inside, take cover.
And ladies and gentlemen, I certainly hope that you will take this to heart, what he's saying. You know, I've been a police officer for 24 plus years, and one thing that I've noticed on the days or the evenings that I've worked and we've had severe thunderstorm warnings or severe weather warnings, even tornado watches and warnings, the human instinct is always to go outside and look and do like this, and I think, oh, that's a pretty cloud, you know, or ooh, look at the lightning and everything, and then the hail comes and something like that. An unfortunate thing, ladies and gentlemen, nature is a beautiful thing. Nature is also a very dangerous thing too, and take it seriously. If the EMA puts out a warning, or if you see it scrolling across your TV, or you hear the siren going off, do take that seriously. They will let you know ahead of time that they're going to do, for the most part, if they're going to do a weather drill, so that you'll know. But when it comes to March and April and May and June and the severe weather months, when you hear that, or if you see that on your TV, do take it seriously, because again, he's talking about 3 minutes time, and that is not a whole lot of time to prepare for your own safety and the safety of your family as well. So as we get ready to look at March, the one, I think it comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb.
That's the old saying. We're seeing if it's going to hold true.
Well, you know, we started the month with a lot of white stuff on the ground, and you know, we've seen temperatures already this month in the 50s and all. I don't know if that's seasonal. I don't know if that's something that's normal, but at the same time, when I do remember from my college classes that when that warm weather, when that warm air and that cold air hits, that the potential for bad things to happen weather-wise.
And that's typically why we see the most destructive storms in the spring months, because we do have that contrast of temperature between the leftover cold ground and air from winter conflicting with those warm air masses coming up from the Gulf, bringing all that springtime rain and moisture. So that leads to some uplift, that leads to the creation of some very large storms. The larger the storm, the more sustained the storm, the greater the likelihood of a tornado, and coincidentally the springtime months are when we see the most deaths and the most destruction from tornadoes.
The worst weather condition you've ever experienced in your life was what?
Well, I've actually seen several. When I was in, I think, the first or second grade, right down here at Fairview Elementary.
Yeah,
I promoted myself
Fairview
a little bit. There was a tornado that occurred. Didn't know nothing about tornadoes at the time, but Richmond Homes was still in business.
Right.
And I was sitting there watching pieces of plywood, 4x8 sheets of plywood, rotate around in the air like giant razor blades. I didn't know what was going on. But we were at Richmond. That was one of the times Richmond was actually hit by a small tornado.
Wesley M. Robinson was still the principal at that time?
Yeah, we're going back a little farther than my memory takes me, but could be. Recently, probably the worst severe weather that we have experienced was the storms and flooding that occurred in June of 2008.
Yes.
And that was a full meal deal, because we'd gone through the evening hours, I believe it was June 4th, with severe weather, tornado or convective storms that actually we think spawned a small tornado in the southwestern part of the county. Coming up to daylight hours, we got hit by heavy rain. throughout the area, but the area of southern Randolph County got hit by about 6 to 8 inches of rainfall in a couple-hour period. That resulted in some very significant flooding throughout the county. So we had a convective event, we had flooding event, and then the following weekend we had the major flooding that affected all of central Indiana, displaced literally millions of people.
Yes.
And those are among the things. Those are the kinds of events we see in Indiana. Those are the kinds of events we need to be prepared for because we know they're going to happen again. We suspect we're going to have another active, based on the winter that we had, we're going to have another active severe weather season. So we certainly want folks to, again, take this seriously. Don't be scared. Put that energy into being prepared.
Fred, give them one last opportunity to know how to contact you at the Emergency Management Agency, and if they have any questions, how they can reach you.
If you've got questions, please give us a call. Our number is 973-9399. We also have a presence on the Wayne County website, or send us an email to ema@co.wayne.in.us.
Thank you. Fred, I want to thank you again for being here because the information is not only informative but also very critical, especially this time of the year. And ladies and gentlemen, as always, please do heed what the information that Fred has given, but also if you hear the sirens or if you watch something on TV, all the local news stations, the radio stations, etc., don't take it off as just something that, oh, it could never happen here. You know, we have seen high winds that have left a lot of destruction in this area over the last couple of years, flooding from large amounts of rain that have occurred. We are susceptible, ladies and gentlemen. So learn one thing. Take this moment, get you an emergency preparation packet together, put it in your basement or in a location in your home where you know that if severe weather occurs that you're going to have everything that you need right there. Think your safety and the safety of your family first. Forget all the other stuff that can be replaced. But take this moment. You may find that to be one of the greatest investments that you make into the safety of yourself and your family. As always, it's been a pleasure having you as our guest today and presenting this information to you. We look forward to seeing you out there in the future. This is going to be that time of the year that we can look up to the sky. But when we do, ladies and gentlemen, always remember, take care of ourselves. I'll be looking for you out there, and we'll see you again soon.